This podcast is part of the More Than Baseball organization. More Than Baseball is working daily to better the lives of minor leaguers all over baseball, enhancing the future of the game by allowing every ball player to live better lives during and after their careers. Go ahead and check them out at morethanbaseball.org. Super excited for my guest today. Signed a few years by the Reds, played for the Italian national team as well. Leo Seminati. How are you doing, brother?
Good, good. Thank you for having me, and shout out to More Than Baseball.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. So, how did you get involved in More Than Baseball?
Um, it was mainly through 2020 when the pandemic hit, and they really played a major role in helping minor leaguers with um, different grants and just overall that. And that was my first experience with More Than Baseball. And then I really kind of wanted to give back to them for the help that they gave me.
Mhm.
So I reached out to Simon and I decided that I wanted to help in however I could. And so now we've been, I would say, working together to try to help as many players as we can.
Yeah. What exactly are you doing with them? I know, like you wrote that article, and we'll talk about that in a quick second here. But what exactly are you doing with them, or is that still kind
Well,
of like a fluid kind of thing?
yeah, it's more like a fluid kind of thing. It's more like a uh kind of like ambassador where it's like you represent, you ask, you tell people what More Than Baseball does,
Mhm.
and kind of just like gather information on what the minor league like is and what the changes that should be made, and like the different point of views of minor league players.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So let's talk about you. How did you get into baseball? Obviously, you were born in Italy. Probably not such a huge baseball country, but like, how did that start
Absolutely.
for you? And tell me about your background.
So I'm from a small town near Bergamo, which is around 40 minutes from Milan, and I actually started baseball through a sports fair that every year it's done at in Bergamo, in my city, and where the clubs for every sport kind of showcase what they have to give and make you try the sport and try to get kids to um, play for them and play for the sport or whatever they like. And that year, baseball was there. They were restarting to do the team, and they wanted to completely like rebuild. There used to be a team, but it, it hasn't for a long time. So um, now they wanted to start rebuild, and I just kind of fell in love with it. And from then on, I played all around Italy until 2017 when I signed my contract with the Reds.
So did you play, was it like a national team or like in, or is it just like a city league or like what, or like, because like
So
your high school, did you guys have like a high school team or anything like that?
So how sports works in Italy, it's different from what it works in the United States. No sport is affiliated with school,
Interesting.
so everything it's ran by clubs. So you just join a club after school and you go to practice. It's completely independent from what school is. Fields and everything, so everything's completely divided.
Mhm.
So I played for clubs around Italy, and then I joined the Italian Academy in 2014. And basically, what the Italian Academy was, it was a selected group of players that would train like professional athletes. So we throughout the school year. So it was more like an actual United States kind of environment
Hmm.
where we would go to school in the morning and then have practice right after in the afternoon. We would live all together, and this used to be in Tuscany. Now it was moved to Rome, and that was like mainly the group that then would go and play international competitions under the flag of Italy and under those
Okay.
and wearing those colors.
Hmm.
Obviously, still doing tryouts for the national team, but that was mainly the group. And I have played for the national team. I played 3 World Cups, and now hopefully next year I would go to a World Baseball Classic. So
Yeah.
it would be an awesome experience to do that.
That's incredible. And how was that experience playing those World Cups? Obviously, you're playing against some of the best from different countries and all that. Like, what was that experience like?
It was amazing. It was amazing, honestly, because you get the chance to know a lot of people and know what the different kind of baseball
Mhm.
is and how baseball is around the world. Right? There's so much talent, and just see a lot of people, get to know them, and then transfer to professional baseball and find those people back into professional baseball. It's fun, and you're like, uh, you turn around the corner and you'd be like, did you play that World Cup too? And I was like, yeah, I was there too. So it's kind of funny how small the world is.
Yeah, especially the baseball world, because I mean, you talk about knowing everybody. It's a small, like tight knit group of like baseball players, no matter what team or what country you play for. Obviously, you got signed by the Reds in the international draft and all, no, not draft, international signings.
Hmm.
You sign for them, and then they allow you to play for the World Cup and all that. Like, how often does it happen that like a guy from your country gets signed by like a pro team for like baseball or even like any sport other than maybe soccer, which is probably the more common?
Hmm. Um, well, it's I would say it's not so common. Not like other countries
Mhm.
outside the U.S. Definitely, Europe is one of the place where they sign fewer players. There
Mhm.
has been, and there are some active players in other organizations. I think before I was let go by the Reds, I think it was 5 of us. There was active,
Okay.
but before then there has been some, uh, but only one managed to reach the big leagues.
Wow.
So that was the goal, and probably still is.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, you're still young. You got a ton of time to try and make that dream a reality. And speaking of like the World Cup, like I was looking at your numbers, like you played really well, representing your country and all that. So that has to be a complete honor just being able to put on that uniform and represent your country and to play well. Again, like I said, some of the best competition. So that's incredible. Good for you, man.
Thank you, thank you. No, I mean absolutely. I mean, representing your country is a completely different. It's just like the World Cup and European Championship is just a completely different environment because you're not just like putting on a uniform and like playing for um, different reasons. Just I don't know, to get moved up, to
Mhm.
try to reach the big leagues, try to put good numbers. It's just you're playing for a whole country. Like you're the name on your chest represents 60, 70, 100, 300 million people.
Mhm.
So it's like, even though maybe some of them don't even know that you exist, but it still feels like you're representing all of them, and you're representing a culture, and you're representing all of those things. So it definitely something else clicks in.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, there's not a ton of Italians in the minors or even in Major League Baseball. And playing for your national team, were you pretty much somewhat like of a celebrity in your town? I don't know if you come from a big city or a little town, but like, did everyone just know who you are? Like, oh, that's Leo. Like he represents us in baseball.
Oh no, no, absolutely. Absolutely not. Nobody really knows unless they're from around the baseball world. But most of the people don't even know what baseball is. So
Man,
um it's funny how, maybe sometimes you get recognized by people around in the States, but then in Italy you don't really know, because soccer has this major like effect on everything and everyone, and it's just so big
mhm.
that kind of like there's like a big cloud where nothing really
Yeah.
goes through.
For sure. Okay, well, let's talk about the minors because obviously we're more than baseball. I love talking to minor leaguers. I say this all the time on every podcast. Like fans, we see the major league players. We don't see the struggle, the grind that those players went through playing in the middle of nowhere, crappy bus rides, crappy motels, and we just see the final product. But I like to kind of highlight some of the struggles that guys go through. So like coming from Italy, you didn't play like university baseball here, or where we have some of the like some of the I talked to Division 1 D1 players go to these big schools like Louisville, where they're like on private jets and they have all these really nice facilities. But that you go right straight to the minors where like you played in the Pioneer League before that disappeared, and you played in Montana, Idaho,
Mhm.
Utah. Like what was your first reaction or like first thought when you came to like the Pioneer League and your minor leaguer now?
Well, actually, my very first season was in Arizona,
Oh, because you played
and
rookie ball, huh?
that was an absolute culture shock, and um, just like the it was just a struggle of getting used to the heat and just the new environment, and for like the amount of work that you had to put in before to then show up to the field and then try to play a game when it was 130 out.
Mm-hmm.
So that was definitely mainly the first struggle. But honestly, my I have the absolute best memories when I played in Pioneer League. I loved Billings, so absolutely shout out to the Mustangs because they did an amazing job to welcome us, and the city itself was great to us. Winning or losing didn't matter. We had a great fan base. Um, yeah, I mean the bus rides weren't great. The worst one was definitely going to Colorado and had a nonstop 12-hour bus ride. So
What
that
would you
was
do with the
that was
bus rides? What would you do on the bus rides to kind of keep yourself like entertained, if I could say that?
I mean, mainly, I guess, movies and try to get some sleep. Also, because most of the time we would do it overnight. I remember definitely a Colorado one. Um, we packed up our stuff after after a game and drove through the night to make it to Colorado, and that was the biggest struggle. Then we would have mm, road trips where you play 3 or 4 games and then overnight to another city, and you get in at like 3 or 4 in the morning at the hotel, and you have to play the same day.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, I know that that's a common struggle for minor leaguers. But I was fortunate enough where my host family was absolutely amazing to me, and so uh, I didn't really miss anything. Uh, I definitely missed 2019 because it was definitely my best year, and where I had the most fun out of all of them.
Yeah, and like I said, you played in like Montana, Utah, Idaho, some other places. Also
Mhm.
in 2021, you went to High A, right? Was that the
Lower,
Tortugas or low A to the Tortugas?
yeah.
So was there any city that you get there, you get off the bus and you just look around, you're like, where am I? I'm in the middle of nowhere. Um, and there's nothing here. Like, why is there a team even in the city kind of thing?
Well, I mean, definitely, some places in Montana where we're like, I don't know, Grand Junction, Colorado, or you know, um, Great Falls. But I mean, I I was again, I was fortunate enough where Montana, you don't even really have much time. You know, you're like locked in, and you have to be just like focused a million percent on baseball and try to get your work done. But they weren't the best fields either in Montana. But again, Billings, it was kept amazing, and we always missed when we would play away because we were treated so greatly, and the field was again kept amazing. So
Yeah.
we were definitely doing a professional job at it.
For sure. And how are the fans? Like, I mean, I haven't watched any of those games. Like here we have the Midwest League, so I've gone to like Appleton and Beloit and seeing those teams play. And like Beloit doesn't get too many fans. Appleton, like they do pretty well with fans, and the fans are pretty good. Like, how was that fan experience? Because obviously, in the minor leagues, the stadiums are smaller. You can hear the fans talking during the game. I'm sure like they're chirping at you if you're not doing well, or even if you are doing well. Like, how was that the fan interactions?
Um, Well, in Montana again, fan base was amazing. Regardless if we were winning or losing,
Mhm.
didn't matter how good or bad we were doing. They were always cheer us up, and they were never disrespectful to the opposing team.
That's
We
unique. That's
definitely,
unique because I feel like a lot of
yeah,
minor league stadiums are not like that.
yeah, no, absolutely. In fact, when we were on a road, we were getting tripped up by by the other fan base, and we're like, "Oh, we're not used to this
Yeah.
because our fans are so great, and they don't really yell anything at anyone besides uh, usual uh, mm, usual chirps, but
Mhm.
like nothing really
Above
really
and beyond.
bad."
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Interesting.
yeah, and then when I played in Florida State League, we as the Tortugas, we were probably the only one who were getting fans because all the other parks were major league stadiums. So I mean, 100, 200 max fans. So it was kind of sad to play away, just because not really many people would come and watch you. So it really felt like you never left spring training.
Wait, why was
Uh,
that? Wait, you said they're in major league stadiums?
yeah, when the Florida State League, you played in the spring training fields,
Oh, okay. Okay.
the major league spring training fields.
Mhm.
So there was really not that much fun fan base there. Besides when we played at home, where you had 1,200, 2,000 people. But when you went away, you really didn't have anybody
Mhm.
that would come and watch the game. So
Wow.
even like to keep that mentality and that drive, that the fans bring,
Hmm.
it was hard.
Yeah, and you didn't play in 2020, but like obviously, like the major league teams had like the cardboard fans and like the fake noise. So I haven't talked to anyone who's played that year, but like or one person actually. But it's kind of hard to imagine playing with no fans because the fans get you hyped up, right? I mean, either
Yeah,
negative or positive. Like no matter what they say, like they're going to
yeah,
get you
yeah, yeah.
kind of ready to play.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It just gets the atmosphere going, and it definitely made it weird not having that many fans, even though we were in the COVID year. Um, but I mean, you had to, get to work, so
Yeah.
you still had to find like that drive and that confidence, and it was just kind of weird when you hit the ball and uh, it sounded super loud because the stadium was empty.
Do you think it made it easier, like for those maybe who struggle, just since there's fans not there watching them? Because obviously baseball, it's a game of failure, right? Because like the greatest players strike out most of the time, or and whatnot. But like, I mean, maybe if you're going through the ups and downs of a minor league season or just a regular season, maybe not having fans there. Do you think that made it easier for those maybe who didn't have the best seasons or the greatest of like series?
Um, Honestly, I don't know. I don't know because I think everyone reacts differently
Sure.
over pressure, and I would say fan pressure,
Mhm.
because might not necessarily be the field. But probably, I mean, to somebody to a certain extent it helped, and to others probably didn't because they didn't have that, that drive, that feeling, that atmosphere that and it creates, and you're like, oh my God, what am I doing here? Like
Right.
nobody's even watching, and so you had to find that inner
But
strength to
other
be
ways to
like,
motivate yourself.
exactly. You playing a Sunday game where there's like 10 people there, so it's like,
Yeah.
what am I playing for? Who am I playing
That's
for?
fair. That's a good point. That's a good point. But let's talk about this. You got married on the field, or at least you had some sort of celebration randomly. I
Yeah,
was
there
I
was
was kind of
there
like,
there was a celebration.
yeah, I was kind of scrolling through your Instagram and seeing everything, and I saw that pop up, and I'm like, interesting. We got to talk about this. So, what was that about, and how did you convince your wife or fiance to join in? And kudos to her.
Well,
'Cause that's pretty
actually,
sweet.
actually, that was made without my knowledge. So I didn't know about it. It was a doubleheader game.
Uh-huh.
I had no idea that this was gonna happen. So my now wife, Carissa, happened to be in town, and we um, we finished the first game, and she texts me and she's like, "So this is happening. Sixth inning, top of the sixth inning. This is gonna happen. We're gonna I'm gonna walk with the two other players' girlfriend as
Right.
the uh, maid of honors and all that.
Mhm.
And you need to pick some of your teammates to be a flower girl." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she was like, "Nobody told you?" I was like, "No, I had no idea." So I picked one of my teammates, my best friend. It was on the team as well, and to be the flower girl, to make it funny, right? And so sixth inning, we do all the intro like if it was a an actual wedding. So, and the speaker uh, played the entrance music, and we did all the thing. Unfortunately, the flower girl didn't show up because you know I didn't really understand the task.
Yeah,
But
you got to find a
I
better one
mean, it
next
was
time. Well,
fun.
not next time, but you got to let him know. He has to do better
Yeah.
than that.
No, but I mean, it was fun. It was fun, and I think we won both games, and we played well. So everything fell greatly and in the right place.
Wow. And you since had like an official wedding, right? Because he wasn't
Yes,
that
yes,
were you
we had
okay.
we had an official wedding that morning, and then I played um, the two games, and then we're gonna have the big celebration this November in Italy.
Oh, very cool. So that hasn't happened yet. Well, awesome. Well, that's
Yeah,
cool, man.
yeah,
That's really cool. Like, I mean, I know at my wedding, like me and my wife, we walked out in jerseys because we're big baseball fans. So we had custom jerseys with our last names.
that's
We
awesome.
had our groomsmen all pick their favorite team to wear a jersey, and then her bridesmaids all wore baseball jerseys as well. So that was just at the reception. But like just being able to do that in a minor league stadium, even if it's just for show, but that's still that experience is pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. It was awesome, and like again, the fans were great as well, and everybody cheered us up. So it was just great to share that moment with her and with my teammates. So yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the article that you wrote for More Than Baseball. That's kind of how I kind of got found out not who you are because I kind of knew who you were, but just kind of wanted to learn more and talk more to you about this. You had wrote an article about the Reds and how they had released you. And it's just talks. If you haven't read it, for those listening, definitely check it out on morethanbaseball.org. You can see his article that he wrote. But what kind of brought that, or what kind of inspired you to write that?
Actually, I I'm on the process to write a book.
Okay.
on what my baseball life is and what happened on and off the field with baseball, me, and all the struggles, happiness, and all that came
Mm-hmm.
with this journey, with this experience. And so Simon reached out and was like, "Hey, would you like to make a piece since you're already writing for More Than Baseball?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So I wrote this article, and apparently people really liked it, and I found it funny, and it's great that people liked it because I think it's important for players, fans, especially for fans to know um, what happens outside of
Mm-hmm.
the field and outside of what they see on the field.
Sure.
So
Yeah, and obviously, like I said, I'm reading it, kind of looking at it now. You had mentioned, you talk about how you signed from Italy, and you were on the Reds, and you were injured, and then you were kind of replaced. And then they offered you to be a coach instead of a player. How did that whole thing play out? And like, was being a coach ever something you were maybe had talked to them about, or that was just kind of like out of the blue, like, hey, we still want to keep you around, kind of thing?
no, they never talked me into it. I
Oh,
was literally like playing my spring training, and I was really like not confident, but well, I would say confident that I was gonna break with a team and be like, and I was gonna show that I could actually be a prospect and be like,
sure.
okay, I'm here and I'm doing my work, and I'm gonna I'm gonna compete.
Mhm.
And then they just kind of called me into the office, and they told me they really cared about me, but and for that reason they wanted me to offer me a coaching job. And I kind of paused because I didn't really know what to say to that, because I was kind of shocked,
Mhm.
and a lot of things were going through my head, and then I had to call my agent, and I wasn't even angry because I was so shocked by that proposal, and so it was kind of weird. The whole thing was kind of weird.
Yeah, and like it's just you had no idea, and like they had like just reading an article, they had told you that everything was going to be good. You had
Yeah.
nothing to worry about, and then you kind of get
Hmm.
blindsided by this whole thing. Um,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine like being in that situation, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, like over the phone, I again they call me, and I was like, "Can I know the topic of what we're going to discuss?" And they literally told me that uh, there was nothing bad, that I didn't have to worry about it. And then I show up, and they send me home. So I was like, that's
They kind of lied.
that's a little bit strange, right?
Yeah.
Uh, why would you have told me that nothing would have been bad if then you sent me home, you basically fired me, kind of thing.
Yeah. Wow. But you have your fiance or I guess wife who can support
Hmm.
you. And then More Than Baseball, who's been very supportive, and
Yeah.
they've worked with you, they've worked with other players.
Hmm.
How do they help you afterwards to kind of like figure, what to do next?
Well, afterwards, I reached out to Simon, and I was like, "Hey, I got released. I would like to dig deeper into be working with More Than Baseball, and also know what kind of services you guys provide and all
Sure.
that stuff." And they put me in contact with a company that helps players transition to from sports to the tech industry, and they were extremely quick. Like literally in a matter of a couple of days, I could have potentially have interviews for jobs and stuff. But then I decided to give a try to independent league, and and now I'm just kind of like trying to figure out what the next step is, because I broke my nose a month ago during the independent league spring training, and then kind of the same thing happened where they were like, because now I'm healthy and I'm ready to go, and then I go to the manager and be like, so what now? And he's like, well, we don't have a spot for you right now. So now it's more like I am I'm not given the opportunity to be able to, showcase and be able to uh, try to accomplish that goal and try to make it to not only in big leagues but also just like playing a World Baseball Classic next year. So it's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird time. It's just a weird situation overall with baseball and on this side of the world experience, I would say.
Yeah, and it's something that you shouldn't have to go through. I feel like baseball can do a better job at setting, people up for success after baseball. And the sad thing is, like, your story is not the only one, right? You just happen to be able to talk about it and write about it, but this happens in every organization. Like,
Constantly. Hmm.
every month, there's every week, there's different players being released from different countries, Latin America, European countries, even, here in the States. And it's something that I feel like needs to change. I know that More Than Baseball is doing a really good job at that, and they're really kind of spearheading also advocates for minor leaguers, to try to get that change so that in the future this doesn't happen to other people. And I mean, it's just kind of the way baseball is, and it shouldn't be that way. It's kind of I don't know. It's one of the things that baseball definitely needs to work on for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, like, and also, not everyone wants to coach, right?
Right.
After they played, maybe not everyone is meant to coach and transition into that. So it feels like a little bit, I would say, like the military, where it's like, you fight for this battle, for this goal to be reaching the big leagues, and then when you don't, uh, you kind of struggle getting out into normal people's world.
Hmm. Yeah.
you know so it definitely organization like More Than Baseball help a lot to just even just by the mental side of it, where you're like, you're just getting released and you kind of have to get your stuff together and figure out what your next move is, because
Yeah.
sometimes you're like absolutely in shock.
Yeah. No, for sure. And like I said, shout out to More Than Baseball. I'm happy to be working with them, talking to guys who go through the minor leagues struggles. Guys, talk to guys who've been released, as well as you, just, similar to you. And it's never not a sad story, not just because, it's like oh, they got released. It's just the whole situation in general could be avoided, but it's not. But I want to thank you for coming on, Leo. I know that this is more of a shorter interview. We'll have to have you back on, and like we'll have to talk some more. I know I mentioned we were going to play some Call of Duty, maybe coming up soon. We'll have to squad up. Maybe we'll record an interview while we're gaming and see how that goes. But I hope, I wish you the best, and I'm excited to
Thank you.
see what follows next. Good luck on your wedding planning. Like, I know that can never be easy, like the stress that comes from planning a wedding. But I can't wait to see the pictures and stuff from all that. And
Thank you.
yeah, man, we'll keep in touch, and we'll definitely have to do some more interviews. Maybe we'll get someone else on and kind of see what goes from there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. Shout out to More Than Baseball,
Yeah.
and thank you very much again.